arguing on behalf of their constituents freely, without any fear, and fiercely on behalf of their constituents as to the impact that the amendments would have on their constituents. Now, if you had to rush after Senate to have somebody brief you, it means that they did not go through that whole process. And that process isn't there because you like paper. It's because that whole process is supposed to give the members of parliament an opportunity to even have some discussions with their constituents, even if it is to phone a few people. You phone a teacher, phone somebody that working in the civil service. You could sit down and phone up a couple of people and find out from them how it is impacting them. Think about it, and then when you go to the cabinet or parliamentary group, you would say, well, I talked to someone and these are his circumstances, and when I look at this bill, this is the impact that it is going to have on him. And you raise these things that those are the kinds of discussions that I know about, that I'm familiar with, and you went through that whole process. I mean, sometimes you leave parliamentary group near 12 o'clock in the night and that kind of thing, debating really if you should go forward with a particular bill or not. And that's what the process is supposed to be. So I find it very strange that at the 11th hour, they will have to have a briefing if the members of parliament went through that process. Even from the party itself.
I want to say something, because that is exactly, in fact, I could even share how it was. There were some additional things done. One of the things that you would find, and Lynette is exactly correct, because one of the things I found myself on would have been a couple of subcommittees of cabinet, because you sometimes found a piece of legislation that was either complex, it was addressing something new or whatever. And there was a process of taking that legislation to a subcommittee where you even dissected it further before taking it to cabinet. And what you would have done there would have been we would have invited some of the senators who were not cabinet members, and they were able to hear from technical people. You would have brought in, let's say it was a matter relating to health, you would have brought in key health officials or whatever the case may be, and you went through that and you fleshed it out, so that when that draft bill went to the cabinet, following the processes that Lynette identified as the earlier processes, you were able then to say to the other cabinet members, these are the issues, and sometimes even if you felt that the nature was so technical, you would bring some of those technical people to the cabinet meeting itself. So I think, Lynette, what happened this morning was a forcing of the hands of the government, because I believe the Senate was taking instructions, because what we have pointed out in the three programs up to now was that the process by which the bill went to Parliament, the rush with which it was done, the nature of the debate in the House, the debate or the speeches or the presentations. I still have to go back and watch the persons who spoke to the National Insurance Bill, other than the ministerial statement that was given. It didn't connect with the legislation that people have there to scrutinize. And so they were not prepared for a decent debate. And this was showing up. And it would have been totally ridiculous for them to come and speak about something that they didn't know. What Caswell said is that you had to go and hear from, because if you're meeting, if they were listening to the program on Sunday on Brass Tacks, for example, they would have heard the same Mr. Adams was on. I'm not sure exactly how much he said that would have helped them anything. You had the Minister of Labor on. You had, I think it was Mr. Blackman who did it. No, it was David Ellis who did it. David Ellis, who was asking some significant questions and so on. So even if they had listened, it would have prompted them to go and do their research. But what it was that they were turning up ignorant of the details. I am choosing my words carefully. They didn't know what was there, and they could not make sensible contributions. So they had to do what seems to be very prevalent now, reel and come again. Thankfully, they've done that, you know, but I mean, it is embarrassing for somebody who sat in the Senate. And I had the honor to have been leader of government business. And we sat down week after week and we decided these are the issues, who will speak to what. And after, the initial thing where I used to lead off most, ministers, parliamentary secretaries, or whatever, their rules would say who can lead off debates. And people were given the opportunity to do that and prepare. You can go back and check the records and see the quality of debates because, as Lynette said, there was a care process. I spent time last night talking about process. And this is a big part of the process because then you pass legislation which has to be implemented. Now, if you know what it is when you debate it in Parliament, heaven help your constituents and the people of Barbados when it comes to implementation. So then somebody can come and say, wait, I didn't realize that was a provision in the bill. Help us, please. I mean, so I think I understand why they had to stick a pin and come back. So we wait to see what will happen.
Marcia, Lynette, and Maxine are talking about the all-time days when we had a semblance of democracy in Barbados. These don't understand what's going on now. We have a Caesar, and all roads lead to Rome. So nobody want to debate and what nothing. This is what we want. This is what must be done. We are living in a dictatorship right now, and that's as simple as it is. So all that nice processes that you used to do before, still on the books, but people take the book and put it in cupboard. I don't read it. Trust me, we need to take the book back out. But we can take the book back out when there are at least one other person in opposition. One person, at least one. Or not all these nice little things that used to happen before. I tell you, look, when I was in the Senate, I remember complaining that I got the bill the night. My email came about 10, but I didn't see it because I got up to use the bathroom. And when I think it was around 2, and I saw this email on my thing, I said, what's going on here? Then I could not go back to sleep. I had to sit down and read the bill so I can come and contribute. The next day, I know I cannot outvote the government to delay debate on the bill. So I had to prepare. I got in there and I was complaining. I said, this is wrong. And while I'm complaining, the marshal stick me in my back and had me want to come to discuss later. You know, that's as bad as it gets. You know, they want to discuss later on the same day, and the marshal get to me while they was complaining that we weren't getting enough notice. And that continues, and it will continue because all roads lead to Rome. And we have one Caesar.
But is it because there's a majority? I mean, they have all the seats. Is that why this is happening? Why the breakdown in protocols? What do you think it is?
It is not the thing about all the seats. It is the management style of the leader. If you can call it a management style. That is the style of the leader. That is not management. Maybe mismanagement style, but certainly not management style. And the leader comes up with an idea, and the idea then is gospel, according to St. Matthew, John, or whoever else. You do not have sensible debates. Look, I get tired. I don't listen to them anymore because, as I said before, when you listen to the debates and you read the bill, you realize that none of the speakers, even the person who is leading off the debate, collide with the bill. They don't come anywhere close to it. They talk pretty, and they talk for the hour or the half hour, as the case may be, but they do not address any substance of the bill. Because this is what we have to pass, and we can pass it. You're going to talk something, so you can talk. But people talk what happened to their constituency and all kind of stuff, but nobody addresses what is going on in the bill itself and what the purpose of the bill. They don't know. They don't read them.
You know, somebody here is saying that the note, because I got a note as well that there were 9 of the senators that were there. So, okay, this person is saying that there were 9 on the government side and 4 independent senators were present, and not 9 in total. Or were you referring to 9 of the government senators?
I just got the thing that said there were 9. I didn't count them. I only listened to what the reporters told me and what I saw in my email. I didn't count them. I didn't have it. I don't want to count them.
The
Marcy,
report,
anybody
yes.
can go on the Parliament's website and look at the videos. There's Parliament TV, so you have YouTube videos and so on. So at any one point in time, there might have been, I think I heard somewhere there were 9 government centers, but there may be others. But at the point in making the decision, they can look around the room. The Senate is a kind of oval type table, and they should be able to look and see. But clearly, all the government senators weren't there, and all the independent senators were not necessarily there.
There were
there were 9, but there were 9 government senators, and that we believe that obviously they would have been they would have voted for the bill, and I think that is what people were commenting on. We will hope that the independent senators would not vote, but I think they know it would have been a political suicide for them if they did. That's what I really believe. I really believe that. So whether it is 9 or it's 11 or it is however, the point is that they weren't all there, and it was adjourned for some, all the different reasons that we were discussing, that they gave us, that they were discussing. Somebody says here, I doubt that they have gone back to learn any facts about the bill, but rather to devise a new strategy to fool the people again. There is no way they could have had any interest in the people knowing the facts, and we're going to pass the 2 bills. Do what you're told. Yes, ma'am. That's what this person wrote. You're saying something, Mr. Franklyn?
Well, I was just saying that I have a different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
We call for a sick out, and sometimes it's sick out.
Senators decided that they're going. You see, listen. This is why I want to say, Lynette, to Barbadians. It's when we can come together. You see, by ourselves, we can't do it. But when we come together, look at what's happening on this panel. All different walks of life. People in you guys. Some of you were in politics. I've never been. I'm an arts person. We're all coming together, and that is really what is going to happen. All these wonderful suggestions from the people who logged on each night, those who are sharing. It's a coming together of everybody. So cute. Hello. It's a coming together of everybody that makes it happen, and that's what needs to happen when you see the petition, when the petition is completed. And you see it's going around everybody on here. There are almost 500 of you on here. It's important that you share it. You talk about it in your workplaces. You talk about it in your churches. It takes all of us. It's when the people stand up. In Jamaica, we have a thing that they say, when Duppy ride you. You use the term Duppy in Jamaica, in Barbados?
Yes, we do.
Yes, and they talk about Duppy on your back. When the Duppy riding on your back, you have to get up and shake them off. You understand? And that is what I feel that is happening. This thing that is trying to hold us down and tell us that we're passive and tell us, all this negativity. But when we're able to get up and shake it off, and when you see that petition, Barbadians, when you see that petition, you share it, you sign it. You sign that petition. It's going to be an electronic petition that is going to be completed, and after we reviewed it, and it's going to go out, and you become lead. You become the leader of this thing. You lead. It's all of us. Then once we get the permission for the protest, we're not going to take you up there to any protest, and we don't have any we don't have any permission. Okay, nobody's going to do that. I believe there might come a time people have to do that. At the moment, we are not going to go out without proper permission. Some of you don't like when I say that. Well, you know what? You could do yours, but we're not going to take people out there and get them locked up. All right? Okay, we're going to do things. The police, they're our friends. The police, they're our friends. Trust me. All right. So once we get the permission, you're going to hear the details of it. And I expect that all of us will come out, bring the entire family, because it affects us all. And it's no violence, because we don't need to be violent. We don't need to be violent, right? No violence at all. We're going to come out and we will listen out for that, because it's important that the momentum. You are talking about the show. The show is just one aspect. The sick out today was one aspect, but we got to build the pressure. The pressure has to build. Lynette, I know you're big on you're big on protest. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I think that's an excellent idea. I hope that the approval comes through. I wanted though I just want to make the point that the process that we were discussing in terms of getting legislation to Parliament and passing it, and even last night we had discussed, and the night before, we had discussed the fact that the bill had not been circulated in the official gazette as it should. And I know that it is difficult to get people really to understand that there's a reason behind the whole process. Because when you pass legislation, it affects people personally. Every piece that you pass, and once it passes into law, it becomes the law. You can go before a magistrate, for example, and you might be arguing a particular thing, and somebody might even be saying, but that can't be what the legislature intended. But if it is clear, if the language is clear, the magistrate can only interpret it and then apply the law in that way. That's why it's so important for us to go through all these different processes, from policy paper right through to preparing a draft, having the draft approved, circulating it. Because also remember that people say ignorance of the law is no excuse. Well, if you're going to say that to people, it means that you have to be very careful about the whole process and make sure that they actually have access to the legislation. Give them an opportunity to know that the legislation is in existence. These things are so fundamental to democracy and the rights of citizens. And I just hope that Barbados is not reaching the stage where we believe that these things are not important, that, we think that you can, no, there's a reason why you do them, as I explained. And it isn't just because you want to be sitting up late and you want to hear your own voice and that kind of thing. No, there's a reason for it. It helps to protect all of the citizens in the community. So I just wanted to underline that particular point.
Just to people are still on this thing about the numbers, and so it's 9 government senators, and I think that is what Mr. Franklyn would have been alluding to. I read the report, and it's 9. They were referring to the government senators because that was the concern. And so it is 9 government senators. I don't know how many of the independent senators that were there, but it's confirmed that there were 9 government senators. And so to the person who is concerned about that. I think it is just it's a matter of those were the ones that we were concerned about. Okay, now, Mr. Franklyn, what is it that we want the government to do with these bills? Why should people sign the petition? What do we want? What do we want? And why are they going on the streets?
We are trying to protect people's livelihoods after retirement, because these bills will devastate it. Right? When you look at the pensions and miscellaneous provisions bill, they are going to wipe out the pension that you will pay for. You're not going to get it. You will pay into a pension scheme, because they're establishing a pension scheme to be administered by the National Insurance Department and the National Insurance Service now. And when time comes for you to get that pension, it will be the government pension or that pension from National Insurance. You're not going to get it, because most people don't earn above the maximum insurable earnings, and that is dangerous, because mostly when you have people at the lower levels, when they apply for pension from the Treasury, having started to work after September 1975, when they get the National Insurance pension, the pension from the Treasury ceases. Now you are putting in place a situation where now but see what happens, sometimes you can retire in public service at 60, 65, whatever. And that pension for National Insurance is at 67. So when you reach 67, National Insurance pension wipes out the pension that you're getting. But when you put both at 68, when you qualify for the government pension, National Insurance is going to wipe it out immediately. So you'll be paying for a pension for God knows how many years, and then don't get it. So this have to go back to the drawing board. I am not opposed to people contributing to the pensions and stuff, but at the same time, make it meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
I know things will change, because in the old days, going back to 1947, that pension was determined to be a deferred earning. They kept back some of your money and give it to you as a pension and a gratuity. They forgot the origins. You see, when you try to fix things, but you don't know how they work, that's where it causes confusion. And the government went about fixing something that they didn't understand. I don't go my car engine. I might look when the mechanic doing something, but I don't touch it. And this is what this government has done. They went looking into the engine without understanding anything about an engine. They didn't know what they were doing, and they messed up. They get instructions from the IMF, because every IMF review that comes in Barbados, they tell them, cut public service pensions. And this can't say dope, because it would be disrespectful. This Prime Minister just following her instructions. Other Prime Ministers stood up to the IMF and tell them no. If you remember Sandyford, when they wanted to cut the rate of exchange to Barbados dollar, Sandyford said no. Owen Arthur said no. Everybody said no. You don't have to tell them no, they're going to do it. Because these people running Barbados right now. So between the Arabs and whoever and the IMF or whoever else, you will be a foreigner in your own land. Because right now, as we speak, I'm representing a number of people who are being mistreated because people come from outside of Barbados, take over their companies, and treating Barbadians like dirt. And the government is facilitating it. The Minister of Labor is not putting any legislation in place to protect workers in this country, no matter what. He sits down there. I don't even say talk pretty quick. He don't talk making sense. He just talks. And people are suffering. Only today, because somebody called somebody and tell them, oh, Caswell like Labor Department. Yeah, I went to the Labor Department today. Because a young lady got dismissed in March. You have 42 days to do this conciliation process. And the employer made it impossible. After you got March, April, May, June, July, 4 months. And I cannot be said, but I can't make it today because the people are sick. And I went. I represented her. The employer conceded, so she will get her compensation. They fired her without a cent. I kept 4 months dodging the labor department.
Well, Caswell, I understand what that was about, because there was someone who put on Facebook that you told the people to sick out, and you went to work. Now I really didn't understand what they were talking about, but I mean that is such a, I mean if so, what do they expect you to do? Say that I can't come when you were going to assist somebody? And you know, these are mature people who would put something like that on Facebook and feel that there's some value in saying that. I mean, it's like absolutely ridiculous. And I want to say too that yeah, they didn't call any names. So I said, what were you talking about? So they told me to listen to the 5:30 news, and I would know. But anyway, one of the things too that people tend to come with when you say that you're not supporting these bills, they want to ask you, and they will ask people here listening, etc. So they would say, so we can't let the fund run out of money. What do you suggest? Well, with the best will in the world, even if I were an actuary, I could not possibly know what to do if I don't have the information. Mm-hmm. How could I know? So like that is a red herring, but it is something that is used in Barbados all the time whenever people raise a concern. Now, you know, if my foot hurting me, I will go to the doctor and tell the doctor that my foot is hurting. The doctor don't say to me, so what you would do about it? No, he has the information. He's going to get the test and he will make a recommendation. Not that I can't make one too, because maybe it happened before and I could make a recommendation too. But this notion that people in Barbados cannot register a concern about something because you can't fix it is a joke. So everybody now must become an actuary and say exactly how the pension scheme can be reformed, etc. So I don't want people to be daunted by people making that comment. And also the points that were made earlier about the fact that we're concerned with how the fund is managed, the administration of the national insurance, the fact that money was taken out, the fact that the structure that they have now looks to me like they want to take out more money. That proposal that public, when private sector projects come for public sector funding, that somehow they're supposed to come to the national insurance, like if it's enterprise growth fund. That is very worrying to me. And every time I get an opportunity, I'm going to talk about it, because when these things are going on, we're not going to know, you know. It's going to be a board decision and we're not going to know until well after. So we need to make it very clear now, and maybe that's one of the proposals that should be in the amended legislation, that the fund should not be used for those purposes. Not in that way. Mm-hmm. Not in that way.
Marcia, if I could, and I want to strengthen and reiterate the point that and Lynette, made just now about what will we do. Our task is not to say, and even if we could do that, but our task up front is not to say what to do. Our purpose, certainly my purpose for engaging in this discussion for the past few days, is to say that we need proper explanations in respect of a series of things. And I go back to where are we? Before you can make some recommendations, you have to demonstrate the people who we have who have the responsibility to make the recommendations. This is the current government or anyone coming in the future. We want to be assured by those charged with the responsibility for improving or making recommendations that they have done or they are operating on the basis of well-informed positions, that they can demonstrate to us that they have information which says this is where we are, these are the issues, this is why, these are the factors contributing to these problems, these are the solutions that we are proposing based on our demonstration to you, that we have sat down with our technocrats, with the public and so on, and we have come up with a set of recommendations. So we need information. So it is about telling us that you're doing so. The question is why, to what are the explanations for or the causes of these problems and so on? Because to come and tell me you're doing something without telling me what the problem really is and what are the elements of that problem, and how, when we do first of all, that we seek to correct the current things before. Caswell kept saying on multiple occasions, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Now, nobody is saying that the NIS scheme is perfect. We know the problems. And I want to go back, because I went and I looked at the point you made about private sector. There's a reason why there's a reason why you have investment rules and an investment committee and so on. Pension funds are, and the word was used last night, are traditionally invested in a relatively conservative manner. Now, we have complained and people have queried putting funds into things that benefit Barbadians. The reality is, when you use those funds, there have to be returns on those funds. But if Joe Billionaire comes to Barbados as a private sector person or a local Barbadian, goes and says, I have a private project, I want to raise $500 million, I want to raise $300,000.